Coming up on Small Town Big Deal. It's football, farmers, and the flag.
Can the home team beat the odds-on favorite?
Defense! And why a visit into Mayville has us chanting,
How sweet it is.
The more sugar, the better.
And then, from a refugee camp in Africa to college football in North Dakota.
Took some getting used to.
And Rodney out in the middle of a farmyard.
I'm sorry, but your counting is cracking me up.
welcome to Small Town Big Deal. I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jan Carl. You know, as summer turns to fall, many Americans, us included, turn our focus to college football.
And while only a few teams get national attention, hundreds of others hit the gridiron with the same passion and spirit.
But with a special hometown touch.
It's a Saturday in mid-September in the very small town of Mayville, North Dakota. And that can only mean one thing.
Here we go, Comets! Here we go!
The Mayville State University Comets are at home for the biggest game of the season. It's an annual bowl game we're guessing you haven't heard of, the Farmers Bowl.
Farmers Bowl means a lot to Mayville State. They usually get our biggest crowd here, and it's good to have a community that backs you.
We've never heard of any other university that wraps its arms around their local community and honors them in such a unique way.
Mayville, population just over 1,800, is situated about 60 miles north of Fargo in the fertile Red River Valley.
This is farm country through and through, and residents here are proud of their heritage as stewards of the land, and the university is proud to celebrate that.
And there's lots to celebrate. North Dakota leads the nation in production of everything from wheat and beans to oats, honey, and much more.
Mayville State was founded in 1889 as a teacher's college. Today, it's the heart and soul of the community. Brian Van Horn is the university's president.
The fact that you have a Farmers Bowl where you honor your local farmers, and how did that come about?
North Dakota is one of the leaders in agriculture, and it will continue to be, and it's our opportunity to really share with the world what those individuals do for us on a daily basis.
Good luck to both of you. We'll get to all the gridiron action in just a bit, but the Farmers Bowl is much more than just the annual game. It's a whole weekend of events centered around three things: football, farmers, and the flag.
Before all the revelry begins,
their glory never cease.
The community takes a moment to pause and honor all of those who have served with a ceremony of remembrance.
I'm always touched by the patriotism in small towns across America. And after paying tribute to veterans, it's time to celebrate farmers.
Welcome to Mayville, North Dakota, home of the Farmers Bowl.
We love Mayville!
It's great to do this once a year. It's nice that we have this in small town USA.
Rodney and I were given the great privilege of being the grand marshals of the parade. Very fitting for Rodney, who has farmed his entire life.
Good, thanks for watching.
So my dad grew up on a dairy farm, and then he worked for John Deere for 30 years. So I am so honored to be leading the parade with Rodney on a John Deere.
After all that waving and throwing candy, I admit I was kind of hungry.
I waited a long time for that. And it was worth the wait.
It's been 24 hours since he's had a hot dog, that's why.
A little less than that, but it's okay.
Yeah. Pair that delicious dog with some of the fresh, off-the-stalk corn on the cob at the Corn and Hot Dog Feed. And I'd say you've got the makings of one perfect meal right there. Now, it's on to some football.
Locked arm in arm with President Van Horn and his wife Nina,
Go Comets!
we enter Jerome Berg Field with the entire Comet team. They are definitely ready for some football.
But before kickoff, we get a special surprise.
We are calm and proud to host Jan Carl and Robbie Miller, along with the Small Town Big Deal production crew. Jan, we present you with this football signed by all the players and coaches of the Mayville State football team.
Thank you. I love it.
And Rodney, who in a previous life was named Illinois Basketball Coach of the Year after his team won the junior high state championship, was also presented with a fitting gift.
Great! Thank you.
And having you here is a big deal for our community and our campus.
Honestly, the pleasure is all ours.
So I've only been here 2 days, but I love this town.
When we come back, the pigskin flies as the 27th annual Farmers Bowl kicks off.
But first,
Looks like a pile of rocks.
Revealing the secret to Mayville's sweet smell of success.
welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. We're still in Mayville, North Dakota for the annual Farmers Bowl. It's a very unique way Mayville State University honors their local community and shows its talent on the gridiron.
But off the gridiron, the Farmers Bowl reveals how this area's success is deeply rooted in agriculture. It truly touches almost everything here.
For example, we aren't really thinking about agriculture as we step into Soul Hope Bakery, a local favorite.
Our eyes are too busy teasing our taste buds, but local ag is lovingly baked into just about everything.
And you just taken.
Tom Soho can't help but school us in making a customer favorite, Long John.
Just like that. It's just a long piece of dough, so I suppose they called it a Long John.
Oh, yeah.
But asking him about what's in his mixing bowl reveals a little more about the essence of the Farmer's Bowl.
And you just dip it.
What kind of sugar are you using?
We use beet sugar from the plant.
So that's locally grown.
It's locally grown.
I actually just want to take this over here and...
Beet sugar just may be the sweetest thing you've never heard of.
It comes from sugar beets, which are a distant cousin to those red beets you can find in the grocery store.
Most of us think of sugar cane as the only source of sugar. It once was, and it was rare, only enjoyed by the rich.
But we have Napoleon Bonaparte to thank for changing that. 19th century France was having trouble importing sugar. Napoleon had his scientists develop the sugar beet as a new source of sugar, thus boosting the supply and making it accessible to everyone.
Back in modern-day North Dakota, the best place to get to the root of information on this sugar-filled crop is on a farm in the middle of harvest.
These are little feeder roots, I guess. Kind of looks like a tooth.
Okay, it's really not that attractive. You know? Sorry. Sorry.
At first sight, this root vegetable has me thinking, no thanks, I'll swipe left.
But think again, Jan. Half the sugar produced in the U.S. comes from the humble sugar beet.
It's a North Dakota sugar beet.
When I think about sugar, a lot of times I think about sugar cane.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys don't think that comes from a beet.
In fact, one study estimates that just in this area, the crop is responsible for more than $1 billion in direct economic impact.
Harvesting beets is a two-step process, starting with a defoliator that slices the tops off the plant.
So these sugar beets have had the machine go over them that takes the tops off, places them in the middle. Now you've got the sugar beets exposed. Now the sugar beets are ready to be harvested by the harvester.
Oh, and if you think plucking these guys out of the ground by hand is easy,
You pull that out.
So that they bust off.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully for the human back, the harvester can do it effortlessly. Once out of the ground, the beets are trucked to the Crystal Sugar Plant in nearby Hillsboro, where they'll be processed for sugar.
at the plant, beets get poured into huge piles. Looking more like mounds of rocks, they're being stockpiled so processing can continue for months, well into the following spring.
Crystal Sugar employs about 1,700 people at the factories themselves.
So we've got gas and coal.
We meet up with Chris Patullo to see how an ordinary-looking beet becomes something so sweet.
It begins with a beet bath.
In this step here, the trucks bring in and we're dumping them into the flume. We take the water and we push the beets in and we separate the beets from the rocks.
Then the beets are shredded.
So this is what they look like after we've cleaned them, washed them, and brought them in and sliced them up.
They look like French fries.
Our goal here is to get them as small as we can to get the most sugar out as quickly as possible.
So we can taste these?
You can taste it.
Are they going to be sweet?
They should be sweet.
Oh, very sweet.
Very sweet.
They are.
The shreds now head into these tanks where water is added at about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which helps pull the sugar out.
Once extracted, the sugars are in the form of a cloudy juice, which must be purified further. They do that by temporarily adding limestone.
So we then are able to filter that lime out and take this juice and move on.
So you put the lime in, it got the impurities out, and then it all settled here inside the limestone, basically.
Inside the tank, yep, attached to the limestone, yep.
What an amazing process.
Now we start boiling off all the water that we have in this process.
The sugar is all in the water, and that's boiling water?
That's correct.
No churning in there.
No turning.
That is boiling mad sugar water.
Wow.
Absolutely. We boil it more, and we boil it till we hit the point of supersaturation so the juice can no longer hold sugar in solution, and it has to start making something solid. And it looks just like this.
Then that syrupy substance is spun at 1100 RPM for about 3 minutes inside these spinners, driving out the last remaining liquid.
So we're left with just pure white sugar at this point.
So sugar-like.
That's now the sugar that I know.
Finally, the sugar is packaged and shipped.
But when it comes to beet versus cane sugar, keep this in mind.
Sugar is sugar, so cane or beet, it's the same. Under a microscope, it looks the same as a chemical that looks the same. Sucrose is sucrose.
Back at Soho Bakery, where locals feel the sweets are unbeatable, we step behind the counter to help.
We'll carry those, put those here. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Rich, yeah, that'd be me. If it's more sugar, the better. And it has beet sugar, grown and processed locally. That's pretty special.
Did somebody say barn dance? When we come right back.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal from Mayville, North Dakota.
Where one of the biggest deals in this small town is Mayville State University's annual football classic, the Farmers Bowl. The game pays tribute to farmers who are the lifeblood of this region.
The Farmers Bowl is an opportunity to really share the great work that they do and the traditions of our state.
Brian Van Horn is the university president.
And that's signified by the wheat strip across the helmet that we do for just the Farmers Bowl.
This year's matchup pits the hometown underdog Comets against their Western Edge rival and defending champions, the Dickinson State Blue Hawks.
This community loves football. They live, breathe, die football.
And chief among those diehard fans is Grace Dennis. Her son Andrew is a sophomore linebacker.
Get up! Andrew, get up! I'm a super proud mother of this kid and the entire Comet team. But especially my number 30, Andrew. Yeah. He has a great story.
Andrew's story has its beginnings half a world away.
He was born on a refugee camp in Ghana.
Oh wow.
My goodness.
Yes.
So what a transition.
Yeah.
From Ghana to Mayville, North Dakota.
Yes.
Andrew's only in America story of making the 6,000-mile journey from a refugee camp in Africa to college football in North Dakota is a miracle for which he's eternally grateful.
It's beautiful out here. I love the people, I love the community, and we have a great president, Van Horn, so yeah, it's really good, but it took some getting used to.
What are you studying to be here?
I'm studying coaching and physical education.
Good.
I love the game of football. I've always wanted to be a teacher, so I thought going into the physical education route would be good, and plus, I want to be around the game of football as long as I can be, so.
You're going to be a great role model, and that's what this world needs is role models.
Yeah.
Defense! Defense!
Now, even though the Comets aren't having what you'd call a very stellar game this day, The university scores huge points when it comes to the impact its student body has on the community.
It really fills your cup when you can see young people and their families come to this community that maybe are not from here, and they recognize that you come together in this small community and you learn to live together and respect each other and really value the fellow person, and that's so essential to our nation.
As the Farmers Bowl weekend starts to come to a close and the sun is getting low in the North Dakota sky, there's just one last event we have to share with you.
Oh no, do we really?
Yes, Rodney, we must.
Every year, the grand finale to the weekend is an old-fashioned tradition, a barn dance. The only problem?
Okay, disclaimer, I'm a terrible dancer. I didn't go to any of my proms, nothing.
Step together, step.
So, for our promless leader, we find local dance teacher Rebecca Gunderson to give Rodney a few pointers on how to be a little more light on his feet.
So it's usually me who's really uncomfortable because we have to do some sport. Now Rodney gets to be uncomfortable.
Step together, step.
And this being North Dakota and all, it's only fitting that Rodney's learning to dance out in the middle of farmland.
Step together, step.
After Rebecca teaches him how to two-step, I cut in and we try out a little waltz.
I'm sorry for just counting and cracking me up. You're trying not to count.
There you go.
I'm losing count.
After we take a few more spins around this field of dreams, or in Rodney's case, nightmares.
Forward.
Oh, straight and right.
He's about ready as he's ever gonna be.
And now you get to go upstairs and kind of have fun.
Okay.
That was not convincing.
Around and around and around we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Once upstairs in the loft with the live music playing and a barn full of farmers swaying, Rodney gets right into the groove.
In all honesty, he did very well. Did not step on my toes. He kept his rhythm. Oh, I think he's been practicing.
Mayville's barn dance comes to a close with the young and old, the confident and the shy, the sure-footed and the too left-footed, all feeling welcomed with open arms.
Doing the 7th grade shuffle.
And it reminds us of something University President Van Horn said earlier in the day.
I wish everybody in America could come to Mayville, North Dakota, and live for 1 year of their life. If they did that, they would learn the respect that you have for your fellow person, and you would learn to live in harmony for the most part in a small community like this, and that makes it one of the greatest places in America to live.
And we couldn't agree more. We'll be right back.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Small Town Big Deal. You know, filming here in North Dakota has been a milestone for Small Town Big Deal. It means we have filmed in every one of the lower 48 states.
Woo! But Alaska, Hawaii, we are coming for you. You know, what brought us here is we were impressed when we heard that Mayville State University celebrates their local farmers with a football game in their honor.
But we leave with a great respect of how this community comes together to support that university, its students, and all the local businesses, just to name a few.
They are living proof that united, we are so much stronger.
I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jan Carl.
Join us again next week when once again we celebrate the great stories from across America. I think it's great they're keeping the Norwegian culture alive. Go Norway.
Step together, step. I need to get him pom-poms. Step together, step.
Jan might lead you too, like I am.
Step.
Okay, because we're just going to go around.
Step. You're not following me. I'm leaving. She's not going.
I'm pretty rusty, so I think Rodney and I are sort of even in terms of dance ability right now.
I'm so happy to see that somebody really cool came from Benton, Illinois. And it ain't me.